Hi everybody, welcome to day 5 and part 28 of the Curve Try Tail Tuner build video series. In our last episode I had figured out wiring diagram right there. That's the bridge, that's the A coil and the B coil of the humbucker. Parallel on-off switches, that way you get turn one or both on for A coil, B coil, or humbucker in parallel. Got a phase switch on the A coil, series parallel switch, and the volume control and the jack. All very straightforward stuff. I spent a lot of time going over the pinouts on a 3-way and a 5-way switch because, alright, well first I went and I fished for parts, and I need 2 on-off switches. They can just be single pull, single throw. And then for the phase I need a double pull, double throw, and for the series I also need a double pull, double throw switch. And I've got the simple on-off switches, but I don't have the double pull, double throws. The closest I have to double pull, double throws is I got a pair of 3-way selector switches, which are, they're both a double pull, double throw switch, and they also give you both at once for your middle position on the switch of neck and bridge speakers. So I'm thinking that what I'll do is I'll at some point hop on eBay and order up a couple DPTT switches for the phase and the series, and in the meantime I'll use a couple spare 3-way selector switches, just using positions 1 and 3, and 2 will do nothing. And I'll just implement it that way for now. And I went ahead and I also looked into trying to use a 5-way switch and possibly hang more circuits off of a single switch that way, but they're just, I mean, it's like a 3-way switch is really a double pull, double throw with the extra setting, and then a 5-way switch is just a double pull, triple throw with 2 extra settings. So in the end, they're big enough to get what I need done, but the extra settings aren't really useful. I could get I can get like 3 voices out of a 3-way switch, but then the other 3 voices are complex to wire. I can get like 4 voices out of a 5-way switch, but then the remaining 2 voices are complex to wire. So, and then I also considered using single pole, single throw switches and ganging them in units of 2 in order to get double pull, double throws, but I decided it was better to just use a 3-way selector instead. So, and then the only other thing I did is I did some mock-ups for where the leg bar should go. First I started with something going like this, from like the center of the tuners out this way. That seemed a little shallow and didn't hold it well enough, so then I went for this. And as you can see, your bridge is protected, so it's not going to get struck by your knee. This does seem to be about the right position, and it actually gets it into a good playing position that way. And it doesn't need the left leg bar, it's just a right leg bar cutout thing. So that's looking pretty good. And then the last step was I was trying to figure out exactly what shape this horn should be to get it to look good and everything. And then also I was trying to figure out what I can do about the control panel, because it's going to need a control panel. It's going to have 2 on-off switches, a phase switch, a series parallel switch, and a volume knob and a jack, all on the control panel. So I was thinking that maybe what I do is I do like the leg bar here, and then I put the control panel maybe like in here, kind of a thing. And then I was trying to figure out how to attach the control panel. You could bolt it to the front of this thing, or glue it, whatever. But then back here, I don't know. So I was thinking maybe you cut a piece of wood that comes this way and then back this way, and it's just, yeah, almost like two bars. And then that leaves the back part here. You slap a piece of pickguard material over it for your control panel, and that leaves the back portion open for the actual holding the switches and stuff. From behind, you'd still see the switches and stuff on the control panel, but from the front it would look okay. The three-way selector switches are unfortunately quite deep compared to like the bar and such, which means that you wouldn't be able to cover it with another plate on the back to hide them, unless you wanted to get into like recessing them into the body, and I don't want to cut into my soundboard, and or if you had like, you know, extra deep cavity here or extra thick legs or something in order to accommodate the beefy electronics. So I don't think I'm going to mess with all that. All it does is just add more mass in the name of you know, good looks. So I can't think of almost anything. There's hardly anything in the world that you can make look better by making it fatter. So, unless it's an anorexic girl. But anyway, yeah, so that's the basic idea. I'm gonna think about it a little bit more, as like exactly what I want to do here with the leg bar and the control panel. And even though, you know, I'm going to be using a couple of three-way selectors instead of DP/DT switches, and I'll be changing up later, I still want it to like look good for now. So, and you know, when the new switches arrive, it won't be a big deal to just fab up another panel and drill it for the different size switch holes and pop it on there. Swap over the electronics, and a couple of solder connections for changing the three ways to DP/DT. So that's it. Nothing real major. My biggest problem is, yeah, so far, like the hardest part of the last couple days really has been trying to figure out the shape of this horn and how to deal with the control panel so it all looks good. So yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm at, and I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to think a little bit more about this control panel and such. Okay, I thought about this a little bit. There's actually three basic considerations. You've got the leg horn itself, you've got the control panel, whatever it turns out to be. The leg horn itself, as far as like the shape of it, making it look good, the location and size and shape and stuff are the most important things from a functional point of view. Then making it look good. Then the second consideration is the control panel, size and shape, layout of controls, enough space for everything, and then making it look good. And then the third consideration is how to support the panel, like up here. And once again, you know, what's going to be functional and then what looks good. And so I think I'm going to take a divide and conquer strategy, because one way you could do it is you could try to, because it's more or less going to be like one big piece that does it all. It's going to be a control panel, it's going to have support, it's going to be your leg cut out, it's going to do everything all at once. And so it's got to fulfill a number of design requirements. So I think the approach that I'm going to take is I'm going to take a divide and conquer approach where form follows function. And so you start with what's most important. And the most important thing is you get the leg bar right. So you get the leg bar right, and then you move on to the control panel. Once the leg bar has been figured out, then you design the rest of it around the leg bar. And then once you've got your control panel design worked out, then you can design your support system for the control panel. And at the end of each step, you get your leg bar worked out, you figure out how to make it look good, or as good as possible. Get your control panel figured out, and then figure out how to make it look as good as possible. And then once you've got your control panel, actually once you get it figured out, then probably the next step would be to figure out how to support it, and then figure out how to make the panel and the support look as good as possible. So that's the approach I'm going to take. I think the first step is I need to double check and make sure that I'm happy with this bar, especially that it's long enough. But I think it's long enough. I mean, originally, like I said, I started down here and I was more this way, but it wasn't enough of an angle, and the whole thing had a tendency to slide down off your knee a bit. And it also shifted the guitar over to the left too much, I think, because, yeah, so I readjusted it. This seems to be much more comfortable. I'm going to heft it around for a minute or two and see if I'm happy with that. And then once I've got this where I want it and the length I want it more or less, then I'll scout about for the actual piece of wood I'll use for the job. I might, end up using this, I might not, but in the end it's probably going to look, I suspect that this isn't going to change as far as position goes, and it'll probably just become some kind of a curve out like this, and then maybe kind of in like that thing, and then I don't know what I'm going to do back here. I think I'm going to glue instead of screw, because once again I want to try to leave this soundboard pristine. So I think I'm going to try gluing instead of screwing. I've had good results in the past with that, so I've only just started. In general, I tend to like to screw guitars together because you can always take them apart easily. But I've started getting more into gluing stuff. Like you'll notice I glued the... Back in the day, this would have been a screwed on part, perhaps, from behind kind of a thing. But this time I decided to go ahead and glue it. I might end up regretting it later when it comes to sanding and finishing because I can't pop it off to get it out of the way, but that's life, So yeah, and therein is that's one of the biggest things about screwed together versus glued together guitars is disassembly for repair. When stuff is glued together, it's real hard to disassemble. When it's screwed together, disassembly is a no-brainer. Just give me a Phillips. So, okay, let me make sure I'm happy with this leg bar position. And I've got the guitar situated left to right in the player's body good enough. And I'll be back. Change of plans. I am spoiled. Just sitting here and putting the thing on my knee. I sat down, I put it on my knee. It went like that. No more than any normal guitar does, but it moved. And I was like, the guitar shouldn't move. Why? Because I'm spoiled. Here's what's up. This guitar does not move. You sit down, you put it on your lap, it stays right where it's at. You sit down, is the camera even catching this? Not even really. How about this? Yeah, okay, so you sit down, you put this thing on your lap, and it's not moving. You sit down, you put this thing on your lap, and it moves around like a normal guitar. You let go and it goes that way, just a little bit. I'm spoiled. I don't want guitars that do that anymore. I've had guitars that do that my whole life. I now know how to build guitars that actually have perfect balance. Why should I do anything less? Yeah, so this puppy's getting a leg bar, man. Screw this conventional BS. It's not perfect, and I can make it better. I'll be back. Okay, real leg bar means this first step. Get this thing back on the table here, focused on the table. Yeah, first step is going to be a real piece of wood. Okay, got some wood here that might be suitable. Got some clear pine cut off from the Guitar 4 build. And a couple pieces 3/4 ply, radiata. And yeah, as you can see, for a while there I was getting into mass production of these leg bar blanks for because I had so many experimental builds going on at the time. I was like, oh my god, I need a bunch of leg bars. And so I cut out, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these things at once, and only ended up using like one of them so far. For anything other than a camera boom. Alright, let's see. So, I don't have this down to an exact science yet, but you want to start a couple inches below the bridge. The bridge is here, and your palm's going to rest like about here. Your leg's going to be in this region here, and so you want to start somewhere back here so that you got room to attach it to the body. The general length of the bar overall, including the part that's behind the body, around 20 inches. It can be shorter. It varies from guitar to guitar and exactly where you attach it and such. But something around 20 inches to start with. Usually I'll take something like this, like a 24 or something. And you kind of like get it where you want it, and then figure out how long it has to be. The idea is it's got to be wide enough that the player can kind of kick back, relax, and spread their legs apart a little bit without having this end of the bar fall off their left leg and the whole guitar go this way on them. So, which is, I kind of put this thing down on my leg, sort of expecting it to behave like a regular, like a left leg bar guitar. And so I put it down and got it all at the right angle, and as soon as I let go of the neck, the thing moved on me, and I was like, what? Because see, I thought it was so heavy it would just actually balance perfectly, but it doesn't quite. So yeah, I mean, it's you can keep it, you can keep the headstock end up at the proper angle, but with just the slightest pressure of your pinky, and it only drops 10 degrees or something, but enough that it's not right there that you can just take your hand away, and then put it right back, and the guitar's still there, which is the way this stuff works. So if we can make it better, why not make it better? All right, so yeah, like I said, it's not down to an exact science, but around 22 seems to be the final length, usually, depending on attachment point. I usually start with a 24 and go from there. And originally I was going 30 degrees from center line, but it looks like 25 degrees from center line is a little better. Gets this not quite so close to the player, gives you a little bit more relaxed seating position for playing. So I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to mock it up. It's got to exit from behind the body somewhere around here so that it protects the bridge, and then set it at 25 degrees. Get enough of it behind so that I've got room to attach it, and then I tape all that up, sit down with it, see how far out, it'll probably be somewhere around here. Will be plenty long enough that you can spread your legs out a little bit and it doesn't slip off. So, and that would end up being let's see, this is a 17, so yeah, I might actually only need about 18 inches of bar total, including the back, and it's only going to have, well, maybe a foot's worth of bars sticking out the front. And then, shape-wise, it could just come to a point. It can just be a long, thin, kind of pointy thing, because it's going to get a panel like mounted here somewhere. Or it could come down like and curve out, or curve up this way, or it could curve in both directions, or reverse fluted, kind of real pointy, or it could come up and then curve this way so that this curve matches this curve. It could be cut from wider stock so that it comes down kind of this way and tends to blend in more, and also kind of comes up this way and tends to blend in more, and then comes down to some kind of a pointer curve or something. It could be just rectangular and rounded down. It probably should come to some sort of point here. Maybe a gentle curve down this direction or something. Well, first thing you can do is figure out where it goes, and then you can worry about making it look good once you figure out what it needs to do. So I guess the first step is going to be to peel this guy off. I'm so mean to my guitars. And then we need to go this kind of way and 25 degrees. So yeah, time for a protractor and some more tape. I'll be back. Okay, oh my god, so much better, so much nicer. Yeah. So what I did is I came at a 25-degree angle. I put this right at the center line, and then I more or less just kind of came up this way, keeping the heel at the center line until I got this way as far as I could while protecting the bridge and getting it so that this cutout area is about where you want your leg to be. I just tried it out, and other than the fact that it wiggles a little bit because of the tape, it looks fine. And actually the length on it looks good too, so I think this is going to do it. I might find, I don't know, I guess 2 holes there isn't going to kill anything. I can always turn it around or something. Those are probably left over from, God only knows, maybe some experimental mock-up, and that's where, nah, that's hard to say. But anyway, yeah, so I think that's going to do it for a leg bar. Then, okay, so got a battle plan for the leg bar. Now I got to make it look good. Good, better curve that way. Or this, well, you want this part to be flat, so it can only curve this way. So I guess that's the only way it can curve. That's the only way it can curve. So yeah, I guess it'll just come out. And I can do one of 2 things. I can either do like a long taper kind of a thing, but towards the end it could get kind of fragile. I can keep it less of a taper and then kind of curve it over at the end, or make it pointier at the end. And or the other thing is I can just keep it straight and kind of just give it a round in. So, I got to think about that one for a minute. turn around here so that I can look at it. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, I'm thinking just a long, thin, tapered bar, full width up here, and then just comes down like this, and is like about maybe this thick at this end, kind of a thing. Simple, elegant, all rounded down and sanded smooth, should look okay. Very IKEA, right? Alright, so that's going to be the decorative part of the shaping of the bar. Location is more or less set, and using the same method I can reproduce the location once I peel up the tape. So then it's on to how to deal with the controls. So we're going to have like two of these guys, a volume pot, and like two of these guys. 1, 2, and where's the other one? And let's see what else we got. Found a kill switch. So let's see, maybe put the kill switch first, so it's closest. Then we're going to have a pair of on-offs. Should be another loose blue one rolling around here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so a couple on-offs for the coils, and then the 2 3-ways. So we're going to take this one off, and then the volume, and then the jack, which is still in the parts bag. So those are going to be the basic kinds of controls. Now, you can either, like, your leg's going to be here, your hand has to be able to get in here, which means that you can have a panel like here. You can have a panel, let's see if we're up here and play. You can have a panel that covers like all this area. So you could do like a kill. Probably don't want those close to the strings in case you accidentally hit them. You don't want to turn the pickup on. So you got your, there you go, breadboarded into the foam, right? So we got us a couple switches, and yeah, a couple of these guys, one of these guys, and a jack. That's not bad, actually. You do something, make it do like a triangle like this. That might look good. You just have it like follow this curve, maybe up to about here, and then have it come out like this, and then just slap all the controls right along here, just above the bar. And these might go this way instead of that way. One's going to be series parallel, and the other switch is, what's the other switch? Oh, is it phase? Yeah, it's phase. Yeah, it's phase, I think. Yeah, it's phase. Yeah, so it'll be normal and reverse phase. And in the middle position for both of these, I don't think either of them will do anything. And phase and series parallel or humbucker parallel. Won't have any effect. They will not have any effect at all on the behavior of the guitar, except when both pickups are turned on. So when these are both in the on position, then the phase and the series parallel switches work. If you turn off either or both coils, if you turn off both coils, that's another voice. You got off switch for the guitar that way, which is cool. If you turn on just one coil, then the phase and the series parallel switches have no effect, and you just run it off the single coil through the volume and then to the jack. So yeah, it's cool. You know, the various switches operate when they should and have no effect when they shouldn't, and seem to have no negative effects on the circuit or anything, so everything should be copacetic. So, alright, I think that sounds like a battle plan. So we'll take this thing and we'll do a taper cut on it, and I guess I need to sand it before I glue it onto the body. And then I gotta fish up some pickguard material and cut a piece of pickguard like for this thing. Maybe make a curve on it here too. That might be cool. But anyway, yeah, okay, so that's the plan. I'll be back. How many minutes is this video running? Alright, let's call this one a video a wrap. It's about half an hour, so I'll see everybody in the next one.